646. Are you hearing me?
He's frozen again.
Yeah.
Oh, you are live on TCTV, Cable Channel 8 and YouTube.
Hi, everybody. This is John Henshaw, Chairman of the Templeton Community Preservation Committee. We are back on Zoom meetings and having technical difficulties as if the pandemic had just started. But we do not have a quorum this evening, so we're at present not having a formal meeting, but we can briefly discuss or present some information to share out. We have some members that are having trouble logging in, etc. On the phone, on the meeting, we have Mike Dixon, the representative from the Historical Commission, as well as Dennis Rich, representative from the Planning Board. And we have as a guest Beth Arsenault and Alice Promisel from the First Church of Templeton. And it appears we are also being joined by Carrie Novak, who is an at-large member, as I am for the CPC. So as noted, we presently have 4 members of the committee logged in, and thus we are not at a quorum, and this is not a meeting. As such, we do have an agenda posted, and we can discuss some of those items just to share out, and we will revisit anything that requires action at our next open meeting. We may, be joined by a representative quorum. We had indications that we would meet that requirement, but the first item on the agenda is always discussion of the minutes, and Dennis is having some issues with his connection. But one question that I had regarding the minutes that you sent, Dennis, was that it was my recollection that, and Mike, Carrie, you guys were there, that we voted to seek a warrant article. Here comes our quorum. So we're going to hold on for just a second while Joanne logs in. Hi, Joanne.
Hello, sorry I'm late.
No problem. We're just getting it together. I've already announced everybody. I'll also announce you, Joanne Burden, representative at large, along with Carrie Novak, Mike Dixon, John Henshaw, and Dennis Rich, who has had sporadic internet connectivity and has now since departed. So we're back not having a quorum right now. So what we're calling this is an informational meeting. We don't have any votes that we need to take. There are 2 primary items on the agenda that we wish to discuss. We do need to review the minutes, but we can wait for our next monthly meeting, currently slated for February 13th, I believe, for that. But what I was just saying is it's my recollection, and Dennis's notes didn't reflect this, that we voted to request an article for $9,000 to do engineering and consulting services for the evaluation of the Baldwinville Fire Station for a project to preserve it and use for MEMA. Is that what you guys remember too?
Yes, that is.
We were going to put that before the town.
Yeah. Okay, good, because right after the meeting, I sent a note to the town administrator saying we'd done that, and then Dennis's notes didn't reflect that. So I will bring that up to his attention, and when we review the minutes next month for December's meeting, he will have that updated. And so please take a look at those minutes to see if there's any other discrepancies you might have compared to your notes, and we will get those rectified for the next meeting. So going forward, I do want to share that we do have our current balances available from the town accountant that reflect the recent match that we received from the state that I mentioned last month of the $209,000. So, and this is something we'll need to reiterate for Dennis, but because whenever a project is voted, the town accountant essentially encumbers those funds and it is removed from the fund accounting wise that it had come from. So for example, the Baldwinville Elementary School project is $1.174 million that we approved. And the concern is like, okay, we can't spend that money. Well, no, she's allocated that already. So the balances I'm going to share reflect that those monies are taken from the unobligated balances. As you might recall, that one was split between general unbudgeted reserve and historic preservation because it was such a big ticket item. So as of today, our fund balance that is available for the town for open space is $95,260. Our fund balance for historic resources is $102,580. Our fund balance reserved for community housing is $42,351. You know, we had voted all that money out for that Baldwinville Elementary project, but now we've taken money back in because we got the state match. And so that's why there's money back in that account from after the town meeting. She encumbered it and it was down to zero. We also, so we've received over $100,000 in receipts, you know, from taxes, which is what you would expect halfway through the tax collection season as we are. You know, our third quarter taxes are due, you know, February, right? And our undesignated fund balance is $614,251. So as you can hear, we have significant funds available to consider projects to go forward with. And the way these projects work for you guys that for Beth and Alice's is that every project needs to have its source of revenue. It's a historic project. It comes from the historic fund first, but this undesignated balance is what can be used by any of the categories. Every year we need to allocate a minimum of 10% for historic, 10% for open space, and 10% for community housing. 65% goes into this undesignated category for use in any of those three plus recreation, and 5% gets set is available for administrative costs of this committee. So that's the update, and there's obviously project level detail as monies are spent by the projects, their balances of available funds go down, but we don't need to get into that, I don't believe, right now. Mostly I wanted to say that we do have money for some of the things that we've heard about, which basically we only have one project that has been brought forward or is in the process of coming forward. And that's why Beth and Alice are here. And that's First Church of Templeton. We do have, you'll remember last month, we voted to spend up to $3,000 from that administrative budget for the cemetery commission to do a sign at the common burial ground, which has received CPA funds for both the tombs and the Jackson Memorial, Civil War Memorial of that. And so I sent that to you, the depiction of what they've done. And I'm going to show that to you. So, and we're just, the caveat was that we don't want to release the funds until we've had a chance to vet what they're looking to do. So I am going to hopefully show you, and I sent this to you guys earlier. It's not very detailed, but and I probably should open up. I'll read the email. I think I forwarded that to you as well, about what they're saying, about what they're doing. So we're not going to be able to decide tonight. So Joe Salata from Cemetery said, "Hi, John, here are two designs and the quote for the burial ground. Let me know what you think. I had him provide one with the town seal and one without. The yellow represents 23 karat gold leaf trim, and the sign will be made out of a urethane type material because of outdoor use and durability. And the maker only provides mahogany for indoor signs. I also included info on the maker. The price you see includes sign, mounting brackets, and two painted 4x4s with top cap, as well as delivery Wording on back includes project funded by Templeton Citizens Community Preservation Act. If it all looks good, it would be a spring/early summer installation. Okay, so that's basically what Joe has said about it. And you can see basically all they're presenting to us is a sign with and a sign without the logo of the town. I think we're going to have to, the way he had the language phrase for the Templeton Citizens Community Preservation Act for the reverse size, which he's not showing, we'll want to say exactly the same language that is stated on the World War I memorial thing, by the citizens of Templeton and the Community Preservation Act. One other thing to point out is that the two projects that we have there were also funded through Mass Historical for the tombs and the VFW for the Civil War Memorial. So we need a placard recognizing those funding sources, whether that's on this main sign or is it another sign that we do separately is a question to be discussed. So as you can see, hopefully from my screen, here's the sign that has the town logo. Now, it would be nice in my mind to say Templeton Common Burial Ground, circa 1763 or whatever the year was where they first, started, using it. I don't know. And then if you hopefully can see this next thing, basically that's the quote. So what they're looking for is $2,000 without the logo, $3,000 with the logo. So not really a lot to see, but that's where we are right now. Do you guys have any thoughts you'd like to share on that?
I really want the logo on there.
You do?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I like the logo too. So we'll revisit this. We'll ask Joe to join us at February. Anything that strikes anybody as any other thoughts? So if you have any thoughts, please email them to me, and then I will share them with Joe to be discussed at our February meeting. Does that sound okay? Okay.
That sounds good.
All right. Very well then. So next, we're going to go to the First Church of Templeton. So obviously, everybody knows First Church of Templeton is an iconic New England church that really makes the Templeton Common what it is. And did I send you the letter from basically, let me read from Alice's letter regarding what they're hoping to do. Before I do that, and what we'll do is I do need to point out that there has the separation of church and state is an integral part of our political system, and there are laws that disallow religious use of state monies. And of course, the CPA is town money and also state matching funds. So there's always a question, about that use. And there was a lawsuit, because it's like any project that goes forward, we have these guidelines to follow. And if somebody doesn't think that the guidelines or the laws as enacted by the legislature are not being followed, they can initiate a lawsuit, either a 10 taxpayer lawsuit or other things if they have standing. And so in 2018, the town of Acton was sued because they had been seeking CPA monies for stained glass window, rehab or something. And it was challenged in court. And then there was another issue related to churches that also went to court. It went all the way to the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts, so the highest Massachusetts court. And when there was so much challenge, the people seeking the stained glass, because it's also a work of art, right? They just decided to drop their request. So that didn't get fully resolved. But one other thing came out, and that was a ruling by the Supreme Judicial Court setting the standards for the use of CPA funds, or providing some guidance for projects related to churches. And the primary thing that we get from the Community Preservation Coalition is that you got to make sure you go through town council before you bring it out, just to make sure that what's being done is properly vetted. And so I've alerted our town administrator that we have this project going forward, and potentially, we haven't voted on it, but we're starting to talk about it, and that we will want to confer with town council to make sure that it was within the bounds of the parameters identified by this, and it will ultimately, the select board might say we're too afraid, or the law, based on a legal recommendation or something like that. So basically, they're not looking to, do anything religious per se, but rather to preserve and rehabilitate the church, which is, pretty old and in need of repair. So let me just read, if you don't mind, Alice. I'm going to read specifically. So the description of the project is to repair, is to do repairs to the roof and the pediment, which is the front face. The roof is leaking in several places. The sheathing is rotting. The project would strip layers of asphalt shingles and wood sheathing and put in fir sheathing, replace them with slate tile shingles that would last 100 years. The original sanctuary had slate tiles, so they're seeking to restore it, make it more an authentic restoration. So it's a restoration of the roof. It's not a simple roof repair. It's bringing it back to the historic slate roof. The work on the pediment is to reattach it to the outside of the facade, because actually it's important to have pieces of the building attached to each other. Due to age and damage, the pediment has separated from the main building. It has ever widening gaps between the two structures. Okay, so those are the primary, that's the bulk of the project. And the goals of the project, the goals of this rehabilitation: reattach the pediment and replace the roofs on both the pediment and the main building, broken down into two jobs. To accomplish this, they are seeking the full cost of the project, which is $212,000, estimated at $212,700. The proposed cost of the front pediment and pediment roof is $58,100, and to rehabilitate and restore the roof on the main building is $154,600. So that's how they get to $212,700. We are in the process of identifying funds with the capital campaign. This is for the safety and to maintain the look of a prominent building for the village of Templeton, which is listed on the National Registry of Historic Places. And then there's more details about the actual project. But the important thing to note is it is a restoration of the roof back to slate, and a reattachment of the pediment to preserve the front face of the building. And we'll have any questions we can share with them in a second here. And obviously, the church is an iconic structure in the center of town. It's been used, annually, except for the COVID years, but prior, last 15 or 20 years, for the July 4th celebration, a secular event to, read the Declaration of Independence.
1900s to the 4th of July. Yeah, we have a program.
And they have other significant needs. They have had some engineers come in there and evaluate, and there are other issues related to the structure, but these are the priority items that they're seeking these funds from the town to support the work. And they've also indicated through the capital campaign and through some limited reserves they would be able to cover any offsets, should there be, changes. As we know, whenever we bid a project out, it's what the price is now, even not when it was estimated a year ago, and things change a lot, especially now, of course. So that's it in a nutshell. And then I think it would be fair, and now Dennis is back, so we are back up to a quorum, but we started, Dennis, already without you. And I'm just reviewing the church. The other thing to note is that they've already gone forward to the Historical Commission. And as Mike Dixon, our representative from that committee, shared the letter that they sent to us, that the Historic Commission sent. indicating the importance of the church to the town's historic. So Mike, I don't know if you want to say anything about that.
Yeah, I would like to. The church is not just a registered place. It's actually part of the Templeton Center Historic District. It's within the footprint of the district. It makes up probably, including the burial ground and the church property, about 50% of the southern border of the historical district. Obviously, it's a very iconic church, architecturally important. They actually have a name for the style of that church that was taught in architecture schools. The history behind it as one of the first meeting houses and all of the civic things that happened at the church itself and the hall. I know we're not really concentrating on the hall right now. The Historic Commission talked about some of the same issues as far as the separation of church and state. We weren't looking at it that way. We were looking at it as a anchor piece of our historic district. If somebody wanted to spend funds in town for one of the other churches that were outside of a historic district, which all the other churches are, we probably would not have been in favor of that. So we're strictly looking at it from a historic aspect, and preserving the structural integrity of that building is paramount to us. The Templeton Historic District is the first one that we created in town back in the 70s. And we also have the Ballinville Historic Village District right now. But we're pretty much interested in preserving that building in good shape. And with the type of work that they were talking about and that they brought forward to us, we think that would put that building in good stead for a long period of time. So that's why we voted in favor of it. And so we authorized by vote that John Brooks would put that letter forward to the CPC. And we gave copy to the First Church also.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, and so we've kind of already summarized that letter. I can read it or share it with you. But first, I think it'd be more important to ask our friends from the church if you would like to say anything, or maybe if anybody has any questions for you. Do you guys want to, chime in?
Sure. Does anybody have any questions before we continue? Concerns? I guess. Go ahead.
Yes,
okay. Let's see. Should I talk about?
This is 2 3 step.
Oh, yes. Sorry. What we're proposing right now is, as I said, there are 2 portions to this work: the pediment and the roof. Future work has to be done to the whole front facade, and the pediment work will allow the people to get behind that. So that's, and see what's there, and then they can come up with an idea of how much it would cost to fix the whole facade. But that is not in this ask. It's just another portion of the rehabilitation of the church. As stated, we really looked at it. We're focusing on the exterior of the church, nothing on the inside, where we think we could get into issues of, a religious connection, as opposed to the exterior of the building on the historic common. And we do believe that we meet the criteria for the grant. Repairs, and the project demonstrates the permanent protection of a historic research. The church on the common is an iconic image of a New England town, It is part of the essential character of the town. The logo of Templeton's 250th anniversary was the first church of Templeton, so it speaks to the town's view of the church in its identity. In 2008, the Templeton Reconnaissance Report inventory concluded that, quote, Templeton Center remains a classic village and endures as the cherished heart of the community. And Templeton Common is on the National Register of Historic Places. And the photo on that website of the historic places shows the gazebo and First Church Templeton. And the church is, or the common is also listed on the 1,000 places to see in Massachusetts. Like each town has some, like, hey, come here and see this. And for Templeton, it's the common.
Alice, maybe you should explain what the pediment is.
Do you want to do that one?
I can do that. So the pediment of the building is what they call the fifth roof, which is the part of the building that comes down in a triangle and it's resting on the columns. So that's coming away from the building. The building has settled and it is now separating and pushing down on the sills. So it's not only in need of repair, but it could become, if it separates completely, a hazard to people near the building. That portion has roofing, it has dental work, it has all kinds of architectural, I don't know.
Flourishes?
Flourishes, yeah. That might be simplified back to what it originally was. That was changed before the hurricane of 1938. So part of bringing that back to a more Puritan level is not only to restore it to the way it was, but it is also going to save a lot of money. But we're going to keep as much as we can. But if dental work has to come off, it'll come off because that wasn't original to the building itself.
Great, thank you. So I think, so where we stand with this now is now that we're back to a full quorum that we could, canvass the membership. Does anybody else have any questions or things they want to say? I don't want to,
The only concern I had, and Mike answered the question right off the bat, was if it would set a precedence for other churches wanting community preservation money, to do repairs and restoration. But I think under the historic part of it, it would be definitely a good use. That is a historic building, historic area. So, yeah.
great, thank you. Carrie, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, I was just thinking that as long as it's vetted properly with town council and the selectmen and so forth, and that there aren't any objections, I don't have any objection with it going forward.
Great. Dennis, are you, any thoughts?
No, I think I missed the first part, so I don't know what that was about, but I kind of agree with Carrie. If we've gone through the process of following up with legal counsel and so on, and you probably need to check with our consulting service, the one we pay our dues to.
Yeah, the Community
see whether-
Preservation Coalition, they're the ones that
Coalition,
recommend
yeah.
that we go to the town council.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
and they do have extensive information regarding, there was a lawsuit in 2018 that sets some precedent through the Supreme Judicial Court that will need to be considered in the application. But, I think we're all in consensus that it's a wonderful resource, and it would be a shame not to see it preserved and keep going for the next several hundred years. And so if we are of a unanimous mind, we could entertain a motion to suggest that we are in favor of moving this project to a legal review. And if we need to use administrative funds to engage the legal services to do so.
I'd make
Do we
that
have any
motion.
idea? Do we have any idea how much that would be, or?
No, I don't. We can, the town has a legal budget, and ultimately it is the Board of Selectmen who are responsible for spending funds on legal fees. But we could certainly put a not to exceed, and if they come back and say that's not enough, then we could consider it if that's what you're thinking.
Okay, I'll second Mike's motion.
Okay, so Mike, you're making a motion to. Could you
As
repeat
you
it?
worded it, same way you worded it.
Okay, so a motion to bring the project forward to
Forward
legal
right,
review and
by
provide,
legal counsel.
legal counsel. And I'll draft that, get that line. I'll work with you, Dennis, to make sure we have the language, just like I said it. We can replay the tape. But okay, any discussion on a motion on the floor, which is to indicate the support of the CPC for this project to move forward, with the next step being a legal review as recommended by the Community Preservation Coalition to ensure it is within the bounds of the CPA, and then if such, we would request it as a town meeting warrant article. Is that what we're saying? Okay.
Right,
Okay, and that was made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we're going to do a roll call vote as is required of every thing. So I'm just going to call you out as I see you. Joanne,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Dennis,
yes,
and John, yes. So unanimous, 5-0. Okay, we are going to move it forward. And if it passes legal review, we will have taken a formal vote to put the warrant article on for the $212,700, from the unbudgeted reserve and historic resources of the CPA.
John, I
What was
have
the
a
amount
question.
$212,700. Yes, Alice.
So bringing it to legal counsel, it goes through you and not the church bringing it to legal counsel
Right.
of the town? Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, we'll do that. That's yeah, we certainly don't want the church talking to our lawyers.
Well, I know. I just wanted to make sure who needed to bring it forward
Yeah,
to that
we will
step.
do that, and we will let you know. I will get a word. I'll have a word with our town administrator, Adam Lamontagne, to see what exactly he wants. And if they want follow-up from the church, I'm assuming that you guys would be available for a phone call. or something.
Definitely.
Okay.
John, could you
No,
repeat that
John.
amount?
Yep. $212,700.
700, okay.
And that's that we went over that while you were off. It's two parts. 58,100 is the pediment, and the preservation of the roof is 154,600.
Okay.
All right. So did you ladies, were you trying to say goodbye and we didn't let you?
No, I wanted to ask, should we continue working on writing the grant so it's ready if it's approved through the legal department?
Yeah, what you sent, I mean, I know how you did it, because of our archaic system that you couldn't, type in the forms, so what Alice has sent is kind of a, fits the template. So we will need all the attachments and the quotes and stuff
Okay.
like that. Yeah,
Okay,
Okay,
great.
we
Thank
can
you.
get them to you.
Wonderful. Yeah. And I know the select board will want to have our articles done probably at our next meeting, which will be in February. Well, I
Okay.
need to get from the assessor, what our projected is for next year. And I haven't heard of any other projects, but there's always potential for that. So, okay. Well, we'll
The
move
chairman,
forward if
John,
everybody's good on the church.
one thing about the church. If historic records are needed, we have the survey form that's part of the National Register. We have the map of the historic district. So if council needs any of that information, I can get that for them.
Thank you. That would be great. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we'll work with, Adam will be the contact person with the lawyers, but if he needs anything, he'll ask me and then I'll reach out to everybody.
Sounds good.
yeah.
Okay, great. Well, let's hope we can move forward. So Dennis, we're gonna, so that was going through our agenda. We would now have new business or old business, and then we're gonna cycle back a little bit to what you missed briefly. Does anybody have any new business they wanted to bring up?
Sorry.
I just wanted to, I guess it's been on the market for a while. Depot Pond is for sale.
I was just going to bring that up myself.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know anything about it. I don't know if it abuts any town-owned land or state-owned land, or I know it says it's not buildable, so there's no risk in it being built. But I didn't know if that was a project we wanted to think about.
I do have some information on that.
Okay, great.
So the area is 20.5 acres. It does abut town property with the graveyard on Bridge Street, abuts it. There is no buildable area there. It's just the water acreage. It does have a problem with the the dam and the spillway. The town is already working with I can't remember what they call it, Commission of Dams or whatever it is. And they're looking at the current owner is the person responsible for maintaining that dam in good order. It is not in good order right now, and it needs work. When we were talking about it at the emergency management meeting the other night, because we're kind of driving the effort to get that taken care of, because if that spillway / dam were to let go, all that water would come down in the vicinity of Lee's hot dog stand, right onto the state highway and wash down through the properties down to the river. So we're kind of nervous about the condition of that. The earthen bank that is on either side of the concrete structure is has a lot of roots and trees and brush and burrowing animals they found. We've had an ongoing issue with beavers blocking the Culvert area. We've had the state up there a couple times removing beavers from the area and breaking up the dam, their dam. So it is right now, it's they're behind on taxes, and the current owner is trying to sell it, but having no buildable property anywhere around the perimeter, it's not likely that he would sell it. So, as far as canoeing, fishing, that type of thing, it might be a good open space to consider, especially if we could get it for a tax lien. So it might be real inexpensive to get a hold of. But then there's some responsibility the town would have to take. They would have to take responsibility for the earthen dam and the concrete dam. But there are monies available through the state to get that work done also. I don't know details. I don't know money. I don't know any of that. That's kind of everything I know about it in a nutshell right there. So.
Well, thank you, Mike.
I have questions on that. Certainly to have to repair or replace what's existing as far as the impoundment goes is going to be very expensive. Very, very expensive for the town. The state is more in favor. I don't know if this is spring-fed, stream-fed pond. They're more in favor of bringing it back to its natural, removing the impoundment and bringing it back to its natural state, what it was before. There is monies there for sure to do that, to remove impoundments. But to repair impoundments, not so much. You're going to have a hard time to get money out of the state to repair the impoundment because they really weigh heavy on the side of removal. So just to keep that in mind, and also, you know, if for some reason they were able to repair it, I mean, it's in perpetuity that this is responsibility of the town to always take care of. So I'm more of a proponent for removing the impoundment.
John, we discussed this several years ago. There was also a problem with the railroad track there as far as being able to have access to the pond. I don't know if that could still be a problem.
But you could have access through the cemetery, Rich.
We could. Okay. I think it was a great recreation facility if we were able to restore it. And I know I've even gone fishing there many years ago.
Yeah, people are still fishing up there. You know, and it would be, you know, access from, you know, like the restaurant there. You walk over the railroad tracks, and you're not supposed to go up there, but that's what people do. But like Mike said, you can access it through the cemetery, and it, you know, it almost seems like, wouldn't that be a great place for Fish and Wildlife to own it? Because then they would own the dam too, and you know, the state can fix things that the town can't. You know,
that's something to explore too, as well.
Well, I can tell you again from some experience, they're not inclined to take on those places. They do not want to be responsible for these dams. And I know because of the Norcross Hill area and a certain pond in this area that dam safety has been very concerned with. Fish and Wildlife, they want no part of it. It's too costly. It's too costly. And it could be a great recreation area, but look what happened to the Otter River Pool, which was a great recreation area. And now it's in a horrible condition. And the town actually owns the Otter River Pool. So I am not inclined for the town to take this. Not at all.
certainly it is a hazard too. I mean, that's the biggest issue. I know that was discussed with when I was on the sewer commission, because you know, like you said, Mike, that thing goes, and there goes, you know, hot dogs down the river, and Chinese restaurants and everything else. But push is going to come to shove. And how much are they trying to sell it for?
I think it was listed for 100,000.
Yeah,
Well,
so that's a pipe dream.
And again, I mean, there are monies out there to remove the impoundments. So that, to me, is something to really consider and turn it back into a stream or a small wetland, whatever it was, versus trying to fix the dam and everything that goes, especially where it's an earthen type dam. I mean, you're looking at
It would be a
lots
shame to
of
use
money. Lots of money. But the funding is out there to remove it. So, I mean, I don't know if the person that owns the property, you know, would consider doing something like that. That they should really look into that.
Well, the person who owns the property is losing it for taxes, so I don't think they're gonna be investing money into the dam. But this was just an idea, just a talking point. Obviously, we don't have enough facts to, you know, go anywhere right now, so I don't know if the town has information available. Excuse me. I was talking to Rich Curtis, the emergency management director, at our last meeting, and he had a lot of information on it. And because we've been trying to, we had the Templeton Lake Department went up and cleaned both sides of the brook, trying to get the trees and brush back away from the water, because this is on the downstream side of the dam. It was getting so choked up with debris that if the dam were to let go, it would wash all that in front of it. There's a stone-lined, good-sized culvert you can walk in, as tall than I am, that goes underneath the railroad bed and then goes down underground down to the river area. That was built after the hurricane of 38, where that whole area got washed out from flooding of Depot Pond. So, yeah, I mean, if the dam and the embankment were to come out and the water sought its natural level, if you think about it, it's actually going to expose land around the pond. Could that be turned into parkland? You know, who knows?
Yeah.
But this is just all talking. I just wanted to throw it out there so that we have it in our heads. I'll see if I can get more information. And John, if you want to ask next time you're at town hall, if Adam has any real, you know, information on it, maybe he has some. But
Okay, well, thank you. Because one other consideration it would be like if the town took the property for taxes, CPA monies could be used to leverage for the dam removal for the creation of open space, and that would open up new lands and maybe even new cemetery, you know, space. Frankly, I don't know it would all depend on the topography, what's left and what's under there. So it is very intriguing. Obviously something's, you know, could happen and it could be an emergency all of a sudden, but I agree that it's worth talking and evaluating and discussing. So thank you both for bringing it up. So let's move forward. Any other new business, anything else anybody else wanted to bring up? Or old business? So Dennis, I want to return back to the minutes because before when you were having your technical difficulties, we discussed the minutes from the last meeting, and your reference to the, you know, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so item 10, you wrote an update on the Baldwinville Fire Station account is that a study is being done to determine what work is needed, but actually we had a discussion and a vote to put forward a town meeting article.
Okay.
And confirmed with the other members that, and I can send you the language, but it was $9,000 for consulting and engineering services to design and develop the project for rehabilitation of Baldwinville Fire Station.
Okay.
Remember, we had the discussion that we could even conceivably have done that with administrative funds, but everybody was of the mind that we really need to ask the people if they want to spend any money on Baldwinville Fire Station. And so we were going to draft an article for the selectmen to use $9,000 of historic CPA monies to hire consulting engineering services for the development and design of the rehabilitation of the Baldwinville Fire Station for MEMA use. And that was kind of it in a nutshell. And is that everybody's understanding?
Okay, I had the $9,000 down, but I didn't have any explanation as to what
Okay,
it
I
was
will
for.
email that to you. And I'll
Oh,
copy
okay.
Mike on it to make sure he got it, because.
Okay.
So we won't vote on the minutes until our next meeting for January, if that's okay
Till the
with
next
everyone.
meeting, okay. All right.
That was the only thing I wanted to bring back. Anything else that and so the other thing we talked about, Dennis, was the signs, and we're gonna bring Joe from the cemetery to our next meeting to talk about the design of the sign for the common burial ground. If you have any thoughts, I sent the pictures out, but we'll discuss that next month.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're open for any.
The signs that were in that, okay, signs that you sent us look pretty good. I thought they were quite interesting.
Yeah, so one comment was made that having the logo, the town seal on there was nice.
Right.
That was the difference between the two primarily. Okay, anything anybody else want to bring up?
Do you know if we're going to still be using Zoom next month in February?
I believe so. That memo that came out said that we would not have the services of TCTV through the end of February for an in-person meeting. And so, oh yeah, let's see. So February is okay. So our next meeting is slated to be a Zoom meeting on February 10th at 6:30. That's the
Right.
second Thursday. Is that good with everybody, or? Okay. So unless we have anything else to bring up, we could probably entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay.
That's it.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor signify by waving. Okay, I see waving from
Yeah.
Dennis, Carrie, Joanne, Mike, and John.